we're going to use Android Studio. We're going to create a basic Hello World project and run it on a virtual Android device. By opening Android Studio, we're assuming that it's already installed. So say on a Windows machine, you can go to the search bar at the bottom and start typing Android Studio, and then when you see the link, the icon for it, click on it and open it up. An Android Studio program for the first time within Android Studio, then you have some setting up to do. And so that was the case for me here. So I came up with this screen asking me if I wanted to import any settings, and this was a fresh install on a new machine, and so there was nothing to import. So I just said do not import and click OK. Pops up and asking if you want to share statistics or not. I usually do, but make your own choice. Reached the welcome screen and I clicked next. Then finish off the installation, and it wants to know what kind, standard or custom. So I'm going to go with standard. But if you're going to say always use a real Android device and never a virtual device, then you might want to choose custom and not waste the space for the virtual machine. Or if you're never going to use, say, the hardware acceleration feature, again, you might choose custom, but I chose standard. Is choosing a theme. Do you like the screen mostly dark or mostly light? I usually tend to choose light. I know a lot of people choose dark, but I chose light. Make your choice and go next. It's showing you a sort of a list of the things that it's going to bring down and finish installing. So you should be connected to the internet. If you chose custom, then this list is more interesting. If you just chose the standard, then it has the standard stuff. So if you decide, if you're looking at this list and decide there's too much stuff here or missing stuff, then you can go previous and change to custom. But I just went again with standard, and I'm sticking with standard, and so I just clicked next. I had to accept some licenses. There were sort of 3. So there were sort of these header categories. I didn't go down within the category to see what was listed within, but I just sort of highlighted the 3 main categories on the left in the white, and then went over and clicked the accept radio button. And when I had done this for all 3 categories, then the finish button became enabled, and I clicked the finish. Downloading comes along, and depending on your speed and what else you got going on, this could take a while. Loading is complete. It will show you a list, so you can scroll up and down. I do have something in red that some script that didn't run, but it did not prevent me from running sort of a Hello World project. So I went ahead and clicked finish, and though there was something that seemed to go wrong in red, it didn't really stop me. Stuff is installed, so now this is where we would begin if this was our sort of second or third time around. I'm ready to start a project, so it's welcoming me to Android Studio, and I'm going to click that white plus and the blue square for a new project. The default options here of phone and tablet over on the left, and then choosing an empty activity and then clicking on next. I entered a name for my project, Hello World, in the name box. I think its default was like my application or something. When I changed the name, it updated the package because the package had the name of my project in it, and it also changed the location, which had the name of my project in it. So those 3 things were updated. There is a minimum SDK. I did not change that. I accepted the default, but this will determine sort of how backward compatible your project is. Again, I just went with the default, so all I did was type the name. 2 other things got changed according to my changes in the name box, and then I clicked finish. more installing, and then click Finish. The project is going to use something called the Gradle, and so we have to wait for any Gradle stuff to download and sync up. So that's what comes next, and so you wait. You know, in that light yellow area where the red arrow is pointing, it's telling you whether the Gradle is syncing, and then if it's done syncing, then it will probably show you the package. So you have to wait for it to sync before you can really run it. So that's what we're doing now. To choose a device, Android virtual device, and this is a difference from the way Android Studio was in the past. Before, you would have to sort of separately, it would not give you a default virtual device, but now it is. So there's already a virtual device, but still I'm used to going through the motions. So I'm going to Tools and Device Manager, and that's opening up over on the right a panel that has sort of the devices, virtual and actual devices. I didn't have an actual device connected, so I'm just going to choose the default one. Make sure it's showing in the drop-down. That's more important, but it's also sort of appears in the panel. So I highlighted it in the panel, but made sure it was in the drop-down, and then I have my virtual device set up, and I'll show you later how to add a second one if you want. Writing any actual Kotlin code here, because when we started the project, it was sort of a Hello Android, Hello World project, and that's all we really wanted here. So we're not writing any code, so we're sort of, as soon as we had the virtual device ready, we are ready to run the sort of pre-provided code. And so I'm just going to use the green arrow, the Run App button at the top, and then eventually over there on the right-hand side, our sort of virtual phone is going to appear. So it takes a little while for the phone to appear. Then the phone has to sort of, the phone itself will have to sort of turn on, and then your app will be installed on the phone. So this takes a little while, and then finally your app will be run. And so you can see the Hello World finally being displayed on the phone. I'm going to run Hello World on the default device, then we're done. But then I decided to go and make a separate device, a separate virtual device. So on that screen, when I said Tools, Devices, it opened up this panel on the right-hand side, and there was virtual and there's physical, and I'm choosing virtual panel, the virtual tab, and then there was a Create Device button, and that opened up a dialog, and then I'm choosing that I want to make a phone device, and I scrolled down and found Pixel 2, and that was highlighted, and clicked Next. So again, making a second virtual device here. Picking an image to install on the virtual device. So again, I found in this case R and clicked on that, and then it brought up another dialog of installation. When that dialog is done, it will come up, the Finish button will become available. When that happens, click the Finish button, and then we're back to the device configuration, and that will have a Next button. Hit the Next button. You want to change the default name of this virtual device, you can do so and click Finish, and then you will see over on the right-hand side in Android Studio, where you're looking at your devices, that I now have a second device. So the default device was the Pixel 3, and I've made a second choice of the Pixel 2. The original Pixel 3 device showing, and I wanted to switch to the Pixel 2, my second virtual device. So there was a drop down near the top of Android Studio where I could choose which virtual device I wanted. So I'm going to use that to choose the second one, the Pixel 2. And I also wanted to sort of where I'm running the virtual machine, that little picture of the phone you see, I'm closing the previous one. So I'm closing the Pixel 3, the sort of the image of the phone, and then I'm using the drop-down list at the top to choose my other virtual device, the Pixel 2, and then I'm ready to go. And virtual device chosen, then again I click on my green arrow to run the app, and then it is showing up this time as the Pixel 2 second virtual device.